Cindy, do you ever, when you have a chance, I'm sure you're busy enough running Lalime, but when you get to travel, do you travel and think food? Do you go to ever have a chance to go to other countries to find inspiration or poke around?
I always think food, so
Uh-huh.
we finally got a chance to go to Italy this year for the first time because my sister, who originally started Lalime's with us, moved to Tuscany. So we got
Oh.
it was a good reason to go, and we had a lovely place to stay in a Tuscan farmhouse. It was exciting because we tasted everything and went out more than you should because we had to. I always have to see what countries have to offer and produce. Is it like ours? Can we get it? And surprisingly, from the last 5 years, I've been to France once and Italy once.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say we have so many things here now just like them that I consider us very lucky.
That's what I was curious about.
Maybe not exactly, like we can't get the same truffles produced quite yet, but
So then that kind of, again, that kind of economy between the farmers and food growers, ranchers, and whatnot in other countries, this exists. These people will just find a little plot of land and make this thing that they can make and find enough business just amongst the local restaurants, say in Tuscany, to survive.
they've been doing it a lot longer there. But they have their problems too. I know in Italy people are leaving the land and going to the cities, and the reverse is happening. I think we're building upon this old thing they've done for a long time, and I hear from people who live in France and Italy that it's changing, and with the European culture changing to the European market, they're losing some of that, and we've gained it here in the Bay Area.
Huh. You're right. You're right. I think people do think about that. I certainly do. It's always on my mind, being in this urban dweller here in the Bay Area, of what could I do if I wanted to go live in Sebastopol? Yeah, and I don't know if there are any of us who don't think that. If you want to get out of the rat race, what could you go and do? And then when I hear about all these farms and whatnot, and that they're able to just make it work, it really captures my imagination.
Well, and there's other, I mean, just talking about things that happen in Europe, we did a wine dinner with a man called Lucio Gomero,
Mm-hmm.
who has wineries in Italy, but he's now one of the biggest producers of Radicchio in the States, and he grows it here in California. So he has brought his expertise from Europe to here.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is happening as well, or people are going to Europe, learning the trade and coming back and growing European-style stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
The other people, we get foie gras from up in Sonoma, and it's a family who spent some time in France, learned how to do it, and have come back and set up a foie gras farm here.
And my favorite thing that always gives me a chuckle is the escargot farm that exists somewhere up in Sonoma. And that would be a great job, just herding those little suckers around. A question I've always had, I'll ask you, Francis, about wild game. Now, it's my understanding that I cannot just go out to a butcher and buy wild game. It's a USDA issue, I think. And can a restaurant do that, or do you have to get game from a manufacturer that is inspected by USDA? What's with that?
We